Okay, we're going to deviate just a little bit, not today, but I want to kind of talk to you about some of the changes to the syllabus. I talked Wednesday about some of the changes in PowerPoint and the reason why we were doing those. But on the 26th of October, you will have class. I will not be here, but you will have class. On the 28th, there will be no class. The 28th is a Friday, I believe. So there's no class on October 28th. There is also, and that's because I'm going to be gone to a conference both of those days. There is also no class on November 16th. They have tech day here at the school, and all business classes will be canceled. I don't know how your other teachers are doing it, but I know the 3 business teachers we just spoke yesterday, and we're going to be canceling all classes on the 16th.
Will you be sending out an email?
I will, and I will try to remind you, classes before that, but I will send out a class email on those dates. Okay. And I think the 16th of November, I don't know what day that is. I think that's a Wednesday, to be right honest with you. But it's right before our Thanksgiving vacation. Okay, and I'm going to give you guys the same option that I gave my morning class. I'm sure you're going to choose the same one, but you may not. All right, so today for class we have 2 options. Option A, we will cover 1 assessment in Chapter 5 together, and you may get to leave early. And then you would have a homework assignment that would not be due till Tuesday evening, which is 1 assessment. Option B would be we cover 2 assessments in class today. You don't get out early. We cover 2 assessments. There's no homework. Okay, so option A, we'll do 1 assessment during class. You will probably get out of class early, and you have a homework assignment. Option B is we do 2 assessments during class and no homework assignment. All right, so now we're going to vote. Who wants option A? Okay, 5 of you. Who wants option B? Okay, 6. So we'll go with option B. That's what my morning class did too. So we'll cover 2 assessments today, no homework. That's democracy in action right there. 5 of you are unhappy, and 6 of you are not. Okay, we are going to work on, from Chapter 5, page 225 is the first assessment we're going to go through. Starting on page 225 in the PowerPoint section. You can look on page 227 and see the slides that we're going to work on. We're going to add some tables and some SmartArt graphics. We need to start by going into our class folder, into the PowerPoint section, Chapter 5. So just as a reminder, when you first come into class, you should be logging into OneDrive to save you from having to do that right now. And we're going to open the file, the presentation called DocSide. In this class, PowerPoint Chapter 5, DocSide. While you're opening that, I'm going to open the one I already did. So you can look at the text up here instead of in your book. Okay, so once you have it open, you're going to save it as P-C5-A1-dockside. Let me go to the one I already have saved. Maybe if it will, so you can see what the file name is. We follow that same theme throughout this book, so it's P-C5-A1-dockside. P for PowerPoint, C for Chapter 5, A1 for Assessment 1. Okay, now I'm not going to save mine because I've already done this. I've done it twice now, but so I have my completed one open and the one we're working on. Okay, on page 225, step number 2 says to make slide 6 active. So click on slide 6, and if you turn to page 227, you'll see what it is that we're typing in figure 5.15. We're going to create a table with 3 columns and 6 rows. We're going to use one of these icons in this content placeholder. There are 6 icons. One of them is an insert table icon. There are other ways to insert a table. This is the way that we're going to do it. So go ahead and click that icon. It says insert table, and it'll say how many columns and how many rows do you want? And they tell us 3 columns and 6 rows. Okay, and then you're going to type the data into that table, and that's on page 227. I'm also going to pull it up here. Actually, what I'm going to do is just copy it from the one I already did and put it up here so you can see it. Yours might look a little different than mine because I've already done mine. This actually is white when you are typing it. The supplier, contact person, telephone. Don't worry about the alignment right now. Just type the words that are in these cells. So in your first row, your text is white. Supplier, contact person, telephone. Use your tab key to go through each cell. So as you type the first word, then press tab to the second cell and keep tabbing until you get to the bottom. And like I said, you can look on page 227 on the suppliers slide if you don't mind looking at that very small text. If you're faster than the rest of us, you are more than welcome to work ahead if you have your textbook. I'm very okay with that. Put the insert table right here. 3 columns, 6 rows, and you're going to type this. You may not get it all done because we're going to be doing some other things. Do you have a textbook for this one? Okay, you need to start reading it. That's great. Okay, even if you're not finished typing the text, I want you to follow along with me. If you're ahead of me, that's wonderful. We're on step 2C. We're going to apply the medium, style 1, accent 2 style to this table. Page, yeah, the pictures are on page 227. So we do not want to select anything in our table. We're just clicked inside our table somewhere. We do want to make sure the table is selected. We have these handles around it. And on the Table Tools Design tab, we have all these different table styles. And the table style we're choosing is actually in the medium section because it says medium, style 1, accent 2. So it's in the medium section, style 1, accent 2. It's this third option. It's where my mouse is sitting. Now we're going to select all of the text in the table. So click right before supplier. Now yours is left aligned and that's perfectly fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. The medium, style 1, accent 2. So now let's select all of the text. Click right before supplier and drag through until you're through that bottom row. We're going to change the font size to 20 points. Now, some of you might have that small toolbar that pops up, but I'm going to click on the Home tab, change my font to 20 points. You see, mine already is because I copied it from the one I had already done. And we're going to change the font color to turquoise, accent 2, darker 50%. We could do that right here, but I'm actually going to click on the Table Tools Layout tab. Or design, sorry, Table Tools Design tab. It's in the WordArt styles. And we have the A with the heavy underline. It says text fill. If I click that drop down arrow, I'm going to choose turquoise, accent 2, and I think it's the last one. Yes, turquoise, accent 2, darker 50%. It's the one I have my mouse sitting on. I'm going to leave everything selected, and I don't have to, but I'm going to because it's one more step to deselect it. I'm going to change the height of the table, and I'm going to do that on the Table Tools Layout tab. Now, don't get confused between the table size gallery and the cell size gallery. When we're changing table size, we choose the entire table size. The height is 3.7. So select what's there, type 3.7, press enter. The width is changing to 9. I hear a lot of click, click, clicks. That means you're using the little arrows. That's going to take you half the day to get that done. With great sarcasm. It's easier if you just select what's there and type the number. Okay, now we're going to select the titles in this first row. So supplier, contact person, and telephone. Click and drag. Click right before the S in supplier and drag through telephone, and you have the entire first row selected. And it is asking us to center the data in the first row. Yours probably looks like this because we haven't changed it yet. On the Table Tools Layout tab, we have two options. This top option is what we're familiar with. This is the alignment horizontally, left to right. We're going to choose center. Now I want you to select all of the data in the table because I skipped a part of a step. So from supplier all the way down through the bottom row. And on the Table Tools Layout tab, right below where we just centered, we have vertical alignment. They're in a box. And that's the alignment in each cell from top to bottom. And we're going to center vertically the entire table. So all of the data in each cell will be centered from the top of the cell to the bottom of the cell. Not horizontally. I've had students that choose this one, and that's not what I'm asking you to do. Okay, now we're on step 2G, center the data in the third column. Well, we already centered telephone, so we are going to select all of these phone numbers. And we're going to choose the center alignment, and when I just say center, that means horizontal from left to right. It will always say center vertically if it wants you to do it vertically. Okay, and then the next thing that we're going to do is distribute this table horizontally across the slide. So make sure you're clicked somewhere in this table. And on the Table Tools Layout tab on the right, it says Align. Click the drop-down arrow and choose Distribute Horizontally. Remember, horizontal is like the horizon. It's from left to right. And so that just centered it across our slide and make it look very professional. Now, what I have up here is what you should have on your slide. It should look the same. Now, you may not have your grid lines. Are your grid lines turned on? Mine weren't turned on in the other. It must be because I had these turned on Wednesday. Okay, on page 226, step 3. Says to make slide 4 active. So click on slide 4 in your thumbnails. We're going to create a table with 4 columns and 3 rows. So once again, we'll click the Insert Table option in our content placeholder. And we're choosing 4 columns and 3 rows. This would have been okay to use the arrows because they only changed each one once. 4 columns, 3 rows. Select the entire table. So click and drag through each cell. All 12 cells should be selected. We're going to change the vertical alignment to center. So Table Tools, Layout. Make sure you're choosing center vertically. And then we're changing the font size to 28 points. So the Home tab, 28. And if you like to use that little mini toolbar that shows up, that's fine too. I just don't like it. Okay, we are going to select the first column. The first column are these first 3 cells that I have selected right now on the left. I have had a student in the morning class who selected the first row. This will not work if you're selecting all of the dark blue. You have to select the first column. Columns are vertical, rows are horizontal. So we have 3 cells selected. We're going to merge those cells together. So Table Tools, Layout tab, choose Merge Cells. So now our 3 cells become 1. Now we're going to change the direction of our text. Currently it's reading from left to right. In the Table Tools Layout, in the Alignment Gallery, under Text Direction, click the drop-down arrow, and we're changing it to rotate all text 270 degrees. Change the font size to 40 points. And then type the word lunch. We're going to do the same thing in column 3, only we're going to type the word dinner. So select all the 3 cells in column 3, merge and center them, or merge them, sorry. In Excel, it's merge and center. Here it's just merge. Rotate the text to 270 degrees under your text direction. Change your font to 40 points and type the word dinner. Now your R is going to word wrap to a second line, but don't panic because we're going to fix it in just a minute. So we selected all 3 cells in column 3. We went to merge cells on the Table Tools Layout tab. We changed the text direction to rotate all text 270 degrees. We changed the font size to 40 points, and we typed the word dinner. Okay, now we're going to type the remaining text. So if you look on page 227, you'll see in column 2, continental. I'm going to tab over 2 times and type vegetarian. Tab again. I'm just tabbing through each one of these. I only touched my mouse once to click in the cell for Continental. The rest of the time, I just use the keyboard. Now, as long as your table is still selected, you don't have to do anything else. My cursor is within the table, so my table is selected because we're getting ready to change the size of the table. But if for some reason you had clicked outside of it and it's no longer selected, your Table Tools toolbar goes away. Then we'd have to click back in our table to get that toolbar to come back up. Change the height of the table to 3 inches. Table Tools, Layout, Table Size, Height becomes 3. Width, oh, we're not changing the width yet. So height is 3, width is 12. We are going to change the width of the first column and the third column. So we need to click in column 1. So click somewhere in the lunch column where it says lunch. And on our Table Tools Layout tab, we have cell size. This is why I said don't confuse the cell size with the table size. If you try to change your table size width to 1.2, your whole table would be very, very, very small. I know because I did it. And so don't do it. So you're clicked in column 1 and we're going to go to cell size width. Right now it says 3. We're going to change it to 1.2. And we're going to do the same thing with the column dinner, which is our column 3. 1.2. We're also going to change the width of the second and the fourth columns to 2.5. I did try to select both columns at the same time. You know how in Excel we can select non-adjacent cells, and it wouldn't let me do that. So you have to do each one separately. So column 2, I'm clicked in the word Continental. I'm changing the width to 2.5. And the vegetarian column, I'm changing also to 2.5. So lunch and dinner width was 1.2 each, and Continental and vegetarian columns are 2.5 each. Now click the Table Tools Design tab. I am on step, I need to find which step I'm on, 3I, if you're following along in the book. So Table Tools Design, on the far left, by default, we have header row and banded rows selected. We are going to deselect those two options, and we're going to click on banded columns. So we should not have anything else checked in the table style options except for banded columns, just in case there was another computer class in here and something else got changed. By default, header row and banded rows are the two selected. So we had to check banded columns and deselect the other two. And it should look like, mine are more gray on my screen. Up here it's showing blue, but they're more of a gray color. We're going to apply the light style 3 accent 2 style to the table. So on this same tab that we're on now, Table Tools Design, in the table styles, we find the group that says light. And it is style 3, which is the third row, and it's accent 2, which is actually the third option. That first option is something different, but it's the third option. It says light style 3 accent 2. And it's interesting because that right there is how it looks on my screen. Even though beforehand the gray looked blue, now the blue is blue. Okay, now we're going to select all of the text in the table. So just click and drag through there. It kind of is weird how it selects because we've rotated our text in those two columns. but it will select. If you click somewhere in the lunch column and just drag all the way over and down, you'll select it all. We're changing our font color. So on the same tab we're on, Table Tools Design, in the WordArt Styles, click the A for text fill. And we're changing it to light turquoise background 2. This is the light turquoise. And it is the second one from the bottom. Light turquoise background 2, darker 75%. And now we're going to distribute the table horizontally on the slide. Table Tools, Layout, Align, Distribute horizontally. It's kind of like a shade of blue. The exact one is, are you talking about the text or the color of the text? Yeah, turquoise is like a teal kind of. I can show you which one it is. It's this one right here. It's this column here. Can you look? It's the third column over in your theme colors. And then you go down to the one that says 75%, second from the bottom. Doesn't look green on our screen, but it does have some green in it because turquoise is a blue-green. Okay, now we're going to make slide 5 our active slide. We are on step 4. Make slide 5 active. We are going to create some SmartArt. You can see it on page 227. It says Restaurant Team. That's what we're going to insert. So we need to start by clicking on our Insert tab. We're on slide 5. Insert SmartArt. It tells us to choose the half circle organization chart. You can actually find that under Relationship. Oh, nope, it's Hierarchy. Sorry. I went to Insert SmartArt. It's under Illustrations. And on the left side, choose Hierarchy, and it's on the top row, the very last one, the half circle organization chart. And when I click OK, it looks like this. We're going to start by deleting this second text box. So right now this first one is selected, and right here in the middle, I'm going to click in the word text. It's very important that you choose the text box because it won't work correctly. So click in the text box. Now click the box around that text box, which is the actual text box, and press delete. It's going to delete that whole level. So now we only have 2 levels instead of 3. And my morning students, there were a couple of issues with that. So if you're having a problem, let me know. The key is to make sure you click in the text, not the circle around it. So click in the word text, and then delete the text box around that text. Okay, so now, if you're looking, I'll just type these. I have them done on another slide, but it'll be easier for me to type them. Click in that first text box and type. It will resize automatically. So Tanya Mitchell, press enter, and then you can type owner. Then you have to click in the second text box, which is the first one on the second row, and you can type Ryan Holbrook. So here are the 3 if you want to look up here. Now, some of you may like to to type this on the left-hand side in this outline view. And that's fine. I just don't prefer to, so I've never taught it that way. As a matter of fact, normally I close it, but you don't have to. Okay, now you need to make sure that you do not have this text box selected. And I know this because I made that mistake. I went from this step and then I went right to changing the colors and resizing, and it will only affect this one text box if you do that. So click in the white space somewhere within the SmartArt. You can see the boundaries of the SmartArt. So click in the white space so it deselects that text box, but the SmartArt is still selected. And on the SmartArt Tools Design tab, we're going to change the colors. The book tells us we're going to choose the colorful range. So right below the Design tab, it says Change Colors. Go ahead and click on that, and you can find the colorful group. And it tells us to choose the accent colors 3 to 4. And it's the third one over in the colorful group. My mouse is sitting on it. It says Colorful Range, Accent Colors 3 to 4. That's the one we're going to choose. Then it tells us to apply the polished SmartArt style. And in your SmartArt styles, I'm going to click the More button to expand those styles. And the polished is the first one in the 3D options. And I know that because I put my mouse over it and it tells me. And you could look at each one of these and it would tell you, but just to save time, that's where it is. Now we're going to change the text fill color. So we need to click on the Format tab, SmartArt Tools, Format. In the WordArt Styles, it says Text Fill. We're going to choose the dark teal, text to darker 25%. So it's right where my mouse is sitting. And there we go. Dark teal, text to darker 25%. And then we're going to change the height and the width of our organizational chart, and it's on the same tab on the far right. The height is 6.5. It's just like we did in the tables. The width is 10. Height is 6.5, and the width is 10. Now we're going to use our Align tool to distribute this SmartArt graphic horizontally. So click Align, Distribute Horizontally, and it just centers it perfectly on your page. Click the Align button and choose Distribute Horizontally. Okay, so we're finished with slide 5. Now we're going to make slide 1 active. And we're going to create the SmartArt graphic. So we're going to click Insert, choose SmartArt, and this one can be found in the relationship on the very bottom. So choose Relationship, then scroll down to the very bottom, and it's in the last row, first column. It's called Linear Venn, the one I have my mouse sat on. So Relationship, scroll clear down, and it's Linear Venn. Now you're going to type lunch, dinner, catering, and banquets. So the first circle is lunch, and it will resize it, so don't worry about that. Dinner, catering, banquets. Okay, now once again, you'll notice this last text box is still selected, so you need to deselect it by clicking somewhere else inside of your SmartArt graphic to deselect those boxes. And we're going to choose colorful accent colors. So SmartArt Tools, Design, change colors, and it's the first option in colorful. So we have this colorful group, and the first option is colorful accent colors. We're also going to choose the cartoon style. Now I can just tell by looking which one's cartoon, and it's where my mouse is. But if you click on the More button, it's actually, I think it's the third option in the 3D. Yeah. But I can just tell by looking at it, it's this one. It's got the black border around it, and it looks like they're light colored bubbles, kind of like our screensavers. So that's the one we're going to choose. We're going to change the height of the SmartArt graphic to 3 inches and the width to 9. So SmartArt Tools, Format, height to 3, width to 9. Now this time when we use the Align button, we're not going to distribute horizontally. We're going to choose Align Bottom, because then it'll align it on the bottom of our page, at the bottom of our slide. So click Align and choose Align Bottom. And it looks very nice. These are very good examples of how you can include SmartArt on your career PowerPoints. So be thinking about those things, because you have to include one. So I want you to be creative in how you use them. Okay, we're ready for step number 6. Make slide 2 the active slide. Click somewhere in the placeholder that has the bulleted items. We don't have to select anything. We're just going to click right in here. And there is another place for you to find this, but we're going to right click and we're going to choose Convert to SmartArt. So we're going to take these bulleted items and we're going to put it in a SmartArt graphic instead. And we're going to choose this basic matrix that I have my mouse on. So I right clicked, I chose Convert to SmartArt, and I'm choosing the basic matrix option. Now the other place you can find that is up on your toolbar. It says in the paragraph gallery, it says Convert to SmartArt. So it took those bulleted items and it put them in a SmartArt graphic. So this is another example of how you could use SmartArt in your PowerPoint presentation. We're going to change the colors to colorful accent colors, same one we just did. So change colors, colorful accent colors. Also choosing the cartoon option for styles, the cartoon style. And it's the one my mouse is on. You can click the More button and choose the third one in the 3D section. We're changing the height to 4.5. This is a perfect square, so if we change the height, it will automatically change the width. So the height, we needed to click SmartArt Tools Format, change the height to 4.0. Do you see what happened? I had a text box. I had one of those text boxes selected, and it only affected the text box, not my SmartArt graphic. So I'm going to undo and deselect and choose 4.5. So the whole thing resizes and not just the one box. Okay, I want you to save this. We're not going to do those last few steps. So you've already named it, so now you should just be able to click Save right here. And I'm not going to save mine because I have the one that I did this morning already up. Okay, now I want you to go to OneDrive. And back in our class files in PowerPoint Chapter 5, you should already still be there. I want you to open Marketing Prez. Marketing Prez. We're not going to complete all of these steps. These are on page 228. We're only going to do some of them, and I'm actually going to deviate from what the book says. So I don't recommend trying to follow along in the book because I will change it. You will look at the book on step 2C. for the data, but I'll also have that up here. And the reason why I chose this one, this would have been your assignment. If you'd have chosen that option, you would have had to do the whole thing. So see, I didn't tell you the rest of the story, did I? So we're only going to complete a little bit of this because I want you to know how to put a chart in your presentation. Okay, does everybody have it open? I don't hear any more dings. Okay, click on slide number 2. Now insert a new slide that's title and content. Now I'm just going to tell you by default, if you just click the new slide button, it is always title and content by default. If you want to change that layout, you can always click the drop down arrow and change it, but we need the title and content layout. Click to add title. We're going to add marketing budget, space, dash, space, $200,000. So it'll look like mine looks up here, marketing budget, space, dash, space, $200,000. So their marketing budget is $200,000 for this company. In our content area down here, we're going to use these icons again. The second icon says insert chart. I want you to click on that. What kind of chart? The book tells us it's a pie chart. So in the left-hand side, choose pie. And it's a 3D pie chart. So in your different options for pie charts, choose 3D pie. Click OK. An Excel spreadsheet. This is actually an Excel spreadsheet that pops up. We could expand it and open it in Excel, but we don't need to. And it has just some dummy data in here, and we need to change that. So instead of sales, so double click in cell B1 and change sales to say percentage. And first quarter, you don't even really need to double click. In first quarter, that's going to become salaries. So if I just click one time and start typing. So salaries, equipment, supplies, production, distribution. And if you're looking in your book, it is on step 2C, what I'm typing. We also need to type 47% for salaries, 18%. Include your percent sign because we don't have it opened in Excel to format that, and we're not going to because it'll take more time than what I want to use. So here's the data, and I wish I could make it larger for you, but I can't. So we have salaries, equipment, supplies, production, and distribution. 47%, 18%, 4%, 21%, and 10%. As soon as I put that information in there, my pie chart changed according to the data that I just put in my table. There's a difference in these two items. This is a chart, the pie chart, and this is a table. And I just want you to see that if we wanted to, we could click this button right here and open this in Microsoft Excel if we had a need to. But we don't need to, so we're not going to do it. Okay, does everyone have that all typed in there? If I can close this. 47 from the top. It's 47%, 18%, 4%, 21%, and 10%. You're welcome. Okay, we can close this table. And at any time, we can reopen it. So I'm going to close it. And if I then decided, oh my gosh, I forgot something or I made a huge error, I could right-click in my chart area and say Edit Data and choose Edit Data again. And that table would come back up. So just because you close it doesn't mean it's gone forever. You have to type them unless you opened it in Excel and formatted it as percentage, which is probably what I would have done, but you actually have to type the percent sign. Okay, and here's where I'm going to deviate from the book. So don't try to follow along in the book. Okay, I've closed my table. I'm looking just at my chart. I like to use the task pane that shows up on the right-hand side, but a lot of people don't. You can always use the Chart Tools Format button. You can also use these icons over here on the right-hand side. For now, let's click the little plus sign just so you can see kind of what's there. The plus sign, I want you to put a check mark beside data labels. That's where your percentages show up on your pie chart. A pie chart really means nothing if it's not showing us any sort of data. I can't just look at that pie chart and say, well, boy, salaries is a huge slice of the pie. It really doesn't tell me anything. So data labels are important. Now you can also click the arrow next to where it says data labels right here, and you can choose one of these options. Let's choose outside in, because they're kind of light colored and we can't really see them well if they're laying on the pie chart. Sometimes that's good and sometimes not. Now let's click those data labels. So just choose one of these percentages, like 47%, just click on it. When you do that, it selects all of them. And from here, we can change the font size. So let's click the Home tab. And I don't know, the book actually does say 24 points. So let's choose 24. I think that's the legend. Let's say 20. 24 is awfully big. Say 20 points. And it changed all of them. Now we can do the same thing down here with the legend. The legend right now is at the bottom by default. And if I click right on legend, I'm going to do this a different way. I'm closing this little plus sign. I clicked on it again. It's a toggle. So I'm on my legend. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say Format Legend. And I get the task pane that shows up. I like using the task pane. It doesn't matter if you use it or not. If maybe you use the plus sign or these other options, maybe you use the Format tab. How you get there, it doesn't matter as long as you do what we're doing. So let's move this legend to the right-hand side. So in this task pane, it says Legend Options, and right here we have a positioning for the legend. Let's choose right. Now it shows up on the right-hand side of our pie chart. Now click the Text Options button in the task pane window, Text Options, and we could change the fill and the outline of that legend. I don't want to. I just want you to see that those options are there. You can also add text effects. You could add a text box. It's that way with any task pane on any option if we were to go in and make changes. I want you to click Legend Options again because I didn't even show you those. You have three options. We have fill and line, which is the paint bucket. We have effects, and we have the one we're on right now, which is legend options. And anytime I click on something different in my chart, my task pane changes. So right now I'm on the legend. I'm going to click on the chart itself. I'm going to click on this turquoise slice one time. And as soon as I do that, my task pane over here changes to the Format the Data series. I could change the angle of the slice. I could explode the slice. However, I can explode the slice in a different way. I'm going to click on this turquoise slice, the biggest slice there is, and I'm going to drag it to the right a little bit, and I'm going to drop it. And that is called exploding the slice. We've separated it from the rest of the pie chart, and you'll see in this task pane that that's 7%. I chose 7%, and I didn't give you a number. We just were clicking and dragging. Now to put it back, you would just drag it back to where it's touching and drop it, and it'll put those together. When that happens, it kind of changes some of the tilt and angle of your 3D pie, and that's okay. One last thing I want to show you on this chart are back with these data labels. There are times when you have a chart that have several skinny little slices, and these data labels sometimes are hard to read. So let's click on one data label, doesn't matter which one, it selects all of them. Now I want you to click one time on the 4%. Notice how we had them all selected, now we have one selected. I'm going to click on the border around it and I'm going to drag it out. I get what's called a leader line. And by default, those leader lines are there. We would have to turn them off for them to not show up. And there are times you'll need to show a leader line with your chart on some of those little thin slices. And I just want you to know that that's available and that's there for you to use. You don't have to do every one like that. You would just use the ones that truly need it. None of these needed it, but I just wanted to show it to you anyway. Okay, I want you to save this as, go to Save As. In your folder, it's P-C5-A2 Marketing So P as in PowerPoint, -C5 as in Chapter 5, -A2 as in Assessment 2, -Marketing Prez. And that is it. We are done. There is no homework. I will see you in class on Wednesday.